first of all, thank you so much for supporting me in the podcast. It is out, it is official, it is happening. So thank you so much for being a patron and helping and supporting that. One of the things that I wanted to share with you all is the name for the podcast and sort of how I came up with it. So I may or may not have mentioned that, about 8 years ago, I wanted to start a podcast. And I had a friend that had a podcast, and I thought this was a really cool idea. And, he sat me down and he said to me, don't start your podcast if you can't be consistent. And at that time in my life, I didn't feel like I could be consistent. I was thinking sort of long and short term, and I didn't know, with everything else that I had going on, how I would be able to do it. So I didn't start the podcast. And so years and years have gone by, and I have watched other people start and grow their podcast, and I thought, okay, maybe now is the time. And so in January, I decided to do this podcast. I had no idea what it would be about, or what what the format would be, or what would come of it, but I knew I wanted to start this podcast, and so I started brainstorming. About 4 years ago, I started thinking about goals that I wanted to set, and I was looking for an accountability partner and couldn't find one, and so I started my own accountability group. And part of that was me really defining my personal mission and my vision in life. And when I started thinking about what I wanted for myself, the word that kept coming up for me was legacy. And so a lot of what I do is not about me, but it's about making decisions that are going to prepare the next generation, whether that's my son, my future potential grandchildren, or any of the students that I have taught and supported. It's about creating a legacy so that they know that things are possible, so that they're able to accomplish things. And so around that time, I just started using the hashtag Brandy was here. Around that same time, Beyonce had this song called I Was Here that I really love. And so I thought, wow, okay, instead of I was here, start putting Brandy was here, because I just need to put my name on everything. And so I started hashtagging all of my social media posts as Brandy was here. I changed the name of my blog to Brandy was here, my website and everything. Another part of that was just me thinking, again, long-term, and thinking about legacy, being Brandy Vernado, which was my handle on all of my social media. I started thinking about long-term, I might get married one day, and I might not always be Brandy Vernado. And so Brandy was here really spoke to me wanting to create a legacy. Everything that I have read about starting a podcast tells you not to brand your podcast with your name unless you're already famous, right? So if I was like Gary Vee or Oprah, or like the Michelle Obama podcast, because everyone knows her, it's easy for her to have a podcast with her name and for people to search for her and find her. But I just felt like, for me, it is the only name that really made sense. Brandy was here, because that's my brand. That's who I am. That's what I represent. And so I appreciate you for being part of the Brandy was here legacy and supporting me in my podcast. I can't wait to share more with you guys.